What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of La Banca Podcast in English. I'm your host, Mark, aka Marquinho, aka HS Segovia, alongside my co-host Aurelio. What's going on, bud?
Hey, how you doing? Nothing much. Just here chilling. Happy to be back.
Enjoying all the soccer?
Trying to. Most of it's while I'm at work, so I'm trying to
Yeah, man.
sneak in there a couple minutes here and there.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, man. I'm the same way. I'm over here always trying to get on, trying to see what's going on, trying to see if I can catch real live video. But at the end of the day, sometimes I can only catch the highlights at the end of the day. Sometimes right now too. So I'm a little I'm a little frustrated about that because a lot of good games going on, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, man. Obviously last week we weren't able to get on because of work commitments and other commitments and just life in general. But we're here today. There's a lot of topics to talk about. Obviously, a lot of things going on, major competitions, major tournaments around the world going on as well that involve a lot of our favorite players and a lot of our favorite nations and things of that nature. So we'll get to that. But without further ado, before we get into all that, one of the biggest legends, I guess, in the last generation of football is saying goodbye to one of the biggest clubs in the world. Sergio Ramos today officially is done with Real Madrid. They had the little press conference, obviously, in honor of him. They always had all the pictures alongside his, I believe, his 16 trophies he won during his tenure in Real Madrid. Most notably, 4 Champions League, 4 Club World Cups, and I think it was I can't remember, other titles as well, but those are the most notable ones. Um, Obviously, Ramos has been a big, big, big player, not only for Madrid, but for obviously his country in Spain. Winner of a World Cup 2010, 2 Euros in 2018 and 2012, part of that historical Spain team that won back to back to back major tournaments, obviously the 2 Euros and the World Cup. Some arguably say one of the best national teams of all time. I mean, obviously Brazil has a couple of things to say about that, and other teams as well, Netherlands of the '70s and things of that nature. But Aurelio, what's your opinion on obviously on Ramos, a great player, leaving the legendary club? Do you think it's fair, or do you think it's just due time?
I think it's due time. I'm pretty sure Madrid has a structures their contracts a certain way toward where I believe they don't give big contracts to players over 30. So I know Ramos wanted a 2 or 3 year deal, and Madrid was only willing to give him a 1 year deal. Like something that they didn't concur together, and it was time to part ways.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody wants to have that fairy tale ending and have the be able to finish at the club that you have near dear to your heart and things of that nature. But obviously that's not the case in football. Obviously it is a business, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's a business first before anything else. For as many Madristas that I know out there, obviously including our co-host Little Man, our other guys, like Pato and Totti, who are Madrid supporters as well, they would have loved to seen Sergio Ramos in his career in a Madrid shirt, but unfortunately, that's not the world we live in today. But my question to you, man, who do you think picks him up? What is? I mean, I've seen the odds out there, thrown out there. It's a lot of PSG love, a lot of one of the Manchester clubs, even Juventus. His name's been thrown out there. Who do you think at the end of the day is going to pick up a great leader? And Ramos, I don't know if he's still the player that he thinks he is, but a great leader.
Definitely a great leader. I'm like, it's gonna be at the end of the day, it's gonna be his choice. I'm like, he's gonna have more than plenty of suitors that are gonna want him. It's just depending on where he wants to go and what kind of ambition is he gonna have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I think he still has the ambition to go out there and play. Obviously, I don't think he's one of those players who's going to try to be lackluster, especially if it's a club with a lot of ambition. And if you're talking about clubs like PSG or one of the Manchester clubs or even Juventus, obviously we know those are always clubs that are always battling for the top trophies in the world. Always doing well in Champions League and European competitions, and obviously their domestic leagues. So I think it's a new challenge, a new adventure, and I think it's something that's going to work out both for both ways. I think it's a win-win situation the way this thing happened. Unfortunately, obviously with the media and all the other stuff, the back and forth about, he didn't want to take the pay cut, or he wanted another year, another guaranteed year, or Florentino didn't want him back, or whatever. Obviously dilutes the situation. But at the end of the day, I think it's a win-win situation for both sides.
I believe, yeah, you're right. I'm like, at the end of the day, I think it's all theater. I think I'm pretty sure they already had everything set and planned. Everything that comes out is usually always just speculations. But no, but like it'll be good for both. I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, it's something always has to come to an end, and it's he did his job, he did what he was paid to do, and now it's time for him to move on.
For sure, for sure. All right, guys. Well, I mean, that's enough about Sergio Ramos. Before we get to our next topic, obviously, we have sponsorship commitments that we got to do. So before we get to that, if you guys ever need foundation, parking lot, or a building, or any kind of concrete job, please contact Rock Creek Ready Mix LLC and contact Andy Sierra, 281-301-8313. Tell them the Banca Podcast sent you, and I'm sure they're going to give you a great deal. Again, that phone number is 281-301-8313, Andy Sierra. And also, if you're looking for a job, if you have a CDL with at least maybe a year or two experience or whatever, contact him. He might have a job there for you. I mean, drivers are in heavy demand right now, and what a great thing to go work with one of those guys. Rock Creek Ready Mix, those guys are really good. Rock Creek Ready Mix, a solid foundation. Tell them the Banca Podcast sent you. Bye. Now, with that being said, obviously the big thing that's going on right now, which we alluded to in the beginning of the show, was Euro 2020. Big matches, big nations, big players. The first week, obviously, a little bit of a not so great beginning, due to the fact that we obviously the big black cloud of the Eriksen incident of him, having a cardiac arrest on the pitch against in the Denmark-Finley game. Something really, really, really horrible that you never want to see a player go through. But aside from that, I mean, if you're looking for a bright spot in that situation, I mean, we have to applaud the players from both nations and the medical staff to be able, being able to do their work the way they did, to be ready to go and to resuscitate Christian Eriksen. Rumors has it that that he did pass on, but they revived him. Not once, but twice. So obviously those guys did their job really well. They saved the father, they saved the husband, they saved the son. So it's great to see. I pray for the man. The fact that he's doing really well. Obviously, everybody wonders if he's going to play soccer or not. But that's so far ahead of. That's not even worried.
Yes.
We're not even worried about that, man. Obviously, we're Arsenal fans, so we've seen Christian Eriksen a lot because obviously he's played for Tottenham before he moved on to Inter Milan. Anything you want to say about Christian Eriksen before we move on?
No, nothing. Just pretty much you got everything to the point. Like, it's something that was unexpected, something that was traumatic for a lot of people. Even though he did play for the opposing team, the rival, whatever, at the end of the day, that really doesn't mean anything. He's a human being, and that's what's important. And I'm happy he's doing good, and hopefully he gets a pretty speedy recovery.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I've never heard anything bad about Christian Eriksen during the whole time. I've never heard anything. So, prior to this happening, and obviously a lot of respect, with Romelu Lukaku, who's his teammate in Inter Milan. The game after that Finland-Denmark game, after he scores his first goal, he runs right over to the camera. And he kisses the camera and says, "I love you, Christian." And I hope you feel better. And that's just a great gesture from his part. And obviously today's game, Belgium versus Denmark, on the 10th minute, they kicked the ball out and basically had a moment, a whole minute moment in honor of Christian Eriksen. And that's just great. And that's even that you have your brethren respect you like that.
Going back into that, even when they ended up finishing that game against Finland, I'm like, Finland did win that game and they didn't even celebrate their goal.
No. It's one of those things where it's an unfortunate thing because, obviously the European competition, Euro 2020, is one of the big major tournaments, in the world in soccer, and obviously this dark cloud overshadowed it, and a lot of people really didn't want that game to continue. I honestly, I was surprised the game even finished that same day. But obviously, when word came out that Christian wanted them to keep going and go forward, then I understood it. Did I respect for Christian? But honestly, you can tell that the players weren't ready to play. They weren't up to it. They didn't have any kind of. They just didn't want to play, man. And that's understandable. When you see something like that traumatic, it's hard to continue on doing what you're doing.
The thing, would this happen last year if COVID wasn't a thing? Because these games were supposed to be played last year.
Yeah. And on top of that, man, just it's a lot of things. I know some people throw out the fact that they're trying to find out whether he's been vaccinated or not. Like I said, that's all. It doesn't matter, man, whether he is or he isn't, or whatever the case and point is about that. That doesn't matter. What matters here is a man was saved, and he gets to go home to his wife and his kid, and hold them for another day, and that's the most important thing here. But let's move on to the tournament, obviously, because we still have games playing on. Aurelio, man, obviously, we've half of the groups have gone on to their second game and played their second game. What game has stood out to you up to this point, I guess?
It has to be that France-Germany game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was, you kind of expected the most of that. It was a good game. A couple more goals would have made it a little bit more exciting, but it was a match that kind of gave you what you thought it was going to give you.
It's funny because you say the game could have had more goals, and yeah, obviously they did if Mbappe could have stayed on side, on a couple of those. But the funny thing is, like, even though this Germany side is a weaker Germany side, and we can see really it is, but I consider this Germany side like the San Antonio Spurs. They're fundamentally sound. They're gonna give you fundamental soccer, and they're gonna play. They're not gonna beat themselves. Is basically what I'm saying. So if you're gonna beat them, it's because you're gonna beat them because you have better talent, you have better speed, whatever the case may be. But France had an opportunity, really a big opportunity to really showcase the fact that they're for real. Obviously, we know they're the holding World Cup champions, so we know they're for real. We know they got the talent. They got a beast at number 9 in Benzema. Obviously, they got Mbappe, Griezmann, N'Golo Kante, who's come off a wonderful season by himself, obviously for himself. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously that group of death, man, it's gonna be a tough one. This Saturday, I think it's Portugal, Germany, if I'm not mistaken. This Saturday, so that game's gonna say a lot on whether who passes and goes, because it could be an early exit for Germany if Germany loses to Portugal this Saturday. But then again, if they win, it opens it up a lot for that group of death.
It does, because if Germany was to win, the next game Germany plays is going to be against the weakest team.
Yeah, and then it would be the Portugal-France game on next Wednesday at 2:00 Central Time, our time. Has any nation stood out to you? I mean, obviously, I know we've only played 2 games. Some nations only played 2 games, some have only played 1 up to this point. Has anybody stood out to you as potential, like, oh wow, they're really out here to get this?
Nobody so far. I think everybody, at least from my perspective, the teams that have been playing the way they have, it's pretty much stand on its own.
Yeah, well, for me personally, if I'm going to choose a team, I have to choose Italy. I think Italy has come out with a strong showing, obviously back-to-back 3-0 wins. And I think Roberto Mancini is the perfect coach for Italy, playing the perfect style and putting these players in the position best suited for them and to best show their quality and their talents. I think they have a very talented group, a very healthy aged group, because you don't really have too many old players on that team, on that squad. So I mean, not the oldest team, but not the youngest team, somewhere in between. So it's amazing, and I think we overshadow Italy sometimes because we don't really pay too much attention to Serie A like we do La Liga or Premier League and things of that nature, and obviously bigger teams like maybe like Paris Saint-Germain and obviously the German teams with the Bundesliga and all the other stuff. But Italy came to play, and they look ready to go out there and show what they can do.
They did. I'm like, it's like I said, it doesn't surprise me. Before this Euro started, they were 25-2. They've only lost 2 games before this Euro started. They're 27-2 now. So I'm like, it doesn't surprise me ever since Mancini took over. The way they've been playing.
You know, another team, obviously the one who played today, Netherlands, Netherlands. I'm not Netherlands. I'm sorry, Belgium. Obviously played Denmark. You know, De Bruyne came in the second half, played the last 30 minutes, and really took Netherlands to another level. Obviously, we know De Bruyne didn't play the first game, and obviously he's on a substitute on a minute restriction right now because it's due to the injury he suffered in the Champions League final against Chelsea. But man, De Bruyne came in and changed that whole game up for Belgium, and in 30 minutes he scored a goal and an assist and another one. Sorry, excuse me. And you know, we obviously know what great talent Kevin De Bruyne has and what level he plays at, and obviously all the talent that he has around him in Belgium. Do you think this is do you think this tournament is destined for Belgium, or is it just one of those things where, man, you know, they have really great talent, but there's just one or two other nations that have just a tad bit more?
It's gonna, like you said, it's their time, but it's gonna be also what limit is De Bruyne gonna have? Because like you just said it yourself, once he went in the last 35 minutes, it was a completely different team. Just that what he can do, what his presence pretty much gives to the opponents and gives his own team. So it's going to be hard because I believe they have the talent to win it all, but without him in there, I don't see how they will.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, he's obviously De Bruyne. I think is one of the top 5 players in the world right now, just because of what he does as a complete player. You know, and just his physique. People don't understand how he's pretty built. He's a pretty stacked player. You know, he's not a fragile, you know, number 10, or he's also not a heavy set 9 or anything like that. He's a perfectly toned, you know, player that has a lot of strength and then has a lot of vision as well. So
you have to play in the Premier.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, man, but Belgium is just in that, man, it sucks because they have such great talent, and yet I can't see them as favorites to win this Euro. I mean, I obviously, you know, people are gonna pick France. Some people are gonna say England over Belgium, you know, but like, you know, it's just there's a lot of other stacked teams, and unfortunately Belgium is just, they coincide, they kind of run parallel with other golden generations of other nations. So, but if Belgium does end up winning, I wouldn't be surprised. They have the talent to do so, but it's just, you know, sometimes you need a little bit of luck to help you achieve that goal. But yeah, before we move on to the next topic, do you see anybody as a dark horse coming out? Are you out of Euro 2020? Anybody, like not particularly? Let's say maybe not. Let's not choose France. Let's not choose Belgium. Let's not choose England. Let's not choose Portugal. You know, maybe somebody out of the blue who might make some noise. Man. Maybe not win it, but just make some noise.
Trying to go through here real quick, but I don't see anybody, honestly.
Nobody. You know, I think if I'm gonna pick somebody, I'm gonna say a team like Austria might have an opportunity. I know we're not too used to the Austrian players, aside from, you know, David Alaba and I can't think of the forward's name, but at this moment, but yeah, but I think I don't think they're gonna get anywhere close to winning the title, but I think they can make a little bit of noise. I think they can, you know, maybe cause an upset here and there. You know, I think they have a great chance of moving on to the knockout round, and maybe even causing an upset that first knockout stage. So that's my kind of dark horse, you know, pick for me if I had to pick one. Still nothing, Aurelio? No, the European elite are too elite.
Maybe Wales.
Well, I mean, you know, see, that's the thing. Like Wales, you know, obviously we know Wales had that great one that Euro where they made it to the semifinals out of nowhere, you know, but you had an up and coming Gareth Bale, an up and coming Aaron Ramsey, you know, and just with those two, with a bunch of nobodies basically on that team, were able to make it to the semifinals. And now Wales has a little bit of a team. Obviously you have an older Bale and an older Ramsey, but you also have a Daniel James who plays for Manchester United. I think Ben Chilwell, who plays, plays for Chelsea now. No, not Chilwell. What's the other guy's name? Jesus, he plays for Leicester City. Ben Davies. Ben Davies.
Okay.
Yeah. He really good defensive player. Epumando, who obviously we know he's one of the Chelsea loan players. They always goes out on loan, but he's doing really well out. And I think he played in the championship last season for Bournemouth. But yeah, he's doing really well. But yeah, I can see Wells making some noise, but we'll see.
That's the only thing that comes up to mind. It's just Wales.
Well, we'll see. I mean, those Welsh players. I mean, if they made some noise once, then why not make it again? But yeah, man. So obviously we're just halfway through the group stages in the Euros, and obviously hopefully next week, if we're on here, we'll have the complete details of what happened with the group stages and who's moving on and who's not, and we can look forward to those knockout stages and really get into the nitty gritty and make a good predictions on who can win Euro 2020, because winning that cup is a major deal for any European nation. So yeah, we'll see what happens next time we get on here. But obviously, before we get to the last topic of the night, we know that the summer transfer window has opened up. June 9th, it officially opened. We're in June 17th. It's only been open for a week. So, and obviously with all these major competitions going on Euro 2020, as we mentioned before, Copa America, Nations League, Gold Cup coming up, qualifiers for the World Cup. There's a lot of things going on with players playing in other countries, but with those players playing in other countries, agents, managers, presidents, representatives are all on the phones trying to, see what the next move is for said player and XYZ, right? Yep. It's always busy. Soccer is a 365 day a year sport. Regardless if there's players on the pitch or not, there's always going to be a soccer game going on somewhere. Of the deals that have been finalized now, obviously we know we're only a weekend, so not that many deals have been, finalized and things of that nature. But of the ones that have been, confirmed already, who do you think is a great pickup? Who do you think has been a great pickup, and then who do you think is a underrated pickup, if there is one?
A good pickup would be the defender from Leipzig to Liverpool.
Oh, Konate.
Konate, yeah. I think that's a really good pickup. To me, it's a good pickup just because they were hurting this year. They were hurting this year because they didn't have their center back, so they know they need to reinforce that. Well, not just because of what happened to their center back, just injuries in general they had in the back line.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's going to go well with them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know the huge injuries that Liverpool suffered this past year with Van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Joe Matip, and things of that nature. And then obviously like Trent Alexander-Arnold, having missing time as well, things of that nature. So that defense was totally beat up. And to bring in a young, I think he's 22, Ibrahim Konate from RB Leipzig, man, and some think that he's the better of the two between the Upamecano, who's going to Bayern Munich. Some think that Konate was the better pickup than Upamecano. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name sometimes. Upamecano, but he's the more hyped one, But we'll see. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But both great pickups. Unfortunately for RB Leipzig, they lose their tandem at center back at the end. But RB Leipzig is one of those teams that go out there and find the future. So I'm pretty sure they'll find the next time.
The other player might be named more just because he's been on the transfer news. Well, I want to say the past 2 years to some of these teams in England, and though Arsenal's been in contact with him for the past 2 years. Even Liverpool wanted him a while back too, and Manchester United.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the other one is probably, I guess, more noticeable just because he's been
He's been in the news more.
more. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm like they're both great defenders. I'm like I feel bad for Lipsick because like you just lost your center duel pretty much.
Yeah. Who? So is that your favorite transfer up to
For
date?
now, yeah, I think that's not a for now, yeah, because like I said,
Yeah,
it's only
that's.
been
I
a
mean,
week. It's only
it's a
been a
really good
week.
choice. It's a really good choice. Like I said, I mean, it's early on, so you don't have that many to choose from. I'm gonna have to go with Donnarumma going to PSG. And the reason I say it because obviously we know what goals PSG aspire to. We know they want to lift the Champions League. We know they want to dominate Europe and things of that nature. And obviously one of their biggest weaknesses prior to Kylian Navas being there, because Kylian Navas has done a great job for PSG. Um, you know, bar none. We know he's a legend. But prior to him coming there, we knew that there was a rotating door back there because they were trying to look for a top-notch goalkeeper to protect between the poles, for years to come because they need a goalkeeper, and I think they found the perfect one who can be their goalkeeper for the next 10, possibly 15 years, We know how long goalkeepers last in soccer sometimes, and how much their level stays up high for a certain amount of years. Donnarumma only being 21, maybe going into his age 22 season this year. Great pickup, especially for free. You're talking about maybe a top 5, top 6 goalkeeper right now at 21 years old. You can't ask for a better pickup, especially when he doesn't cost you anything. I think that for me right now is the big pickup of this early summer transfer window. The Konate prior to this Donnarumma thing happening would have been my choice too, because I think that just strengthens Liverpool. We obviously know Van Dijk and Joe Gomez are going to be back, but to have a 3-headed monster like that where you can rotate and not all players have to work heavy minutes. And we know Liverpool, obviously, they qualify for Champions League, so they'll be doing that. They'll have FA Cup, they'll have Carabao Cup, the league, so they'll have plenty of matches to have all these.
Yeah, and then you have to understand that Van Dijk barely can be coming back, so he's probably going to be on a minute restriction too. So
yeah. Honestly,
that gives you the security to take your time. You don't have to rush it.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush him at all. To be honest, if he misses the first month of the next season, I'd be cool, and then ease him in.
Yeah, ease him into like these Carabao Cup games,
FA Cup games,
FA
whatever.
Cup games. Well, yeah, just a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. Just get his physical form back, and then just get his mental health as well.
For sure. What I'm gonna throw this question for you before we go, and it has to relate, and it relates to the transfer window, obviously. But what rumor out there has surprised you a little bit, or has you excited, or both?
Neither, because I'm an Arsenal fan, and there's a lot of rumors, and nothing ever happened. So no.
But has any name that has been linked to Arsenal excited you, or maybe made you think oh, I can see how that could work?
Man, honestly, I think it was Ben White, the
center back,
young experience. It's something that Arsenal's been lacking for years.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that would
left-footed. What we need.
I know we have Gabriel. I know we have Saliba that's been on loan. But man, just having solidarity back there would do a lot of good things to that team. A lot of good things.
Especially because he has a lot of experience in the Premier League. He's played the last 2 seasons as a starter for Brighton, and he's a English international or up and coming international. So he
would have been in there, I think, but I think he is there, isn't he?
I think so. I'm not too sure. I have to look at the.
But yeah, he'd be. But again, that's 40, 50 mil. I don't know if
he's worth it.
Oh, he's worth it. Are we willing to pay? That's a completely different thing.
Well, I mean, supposedly, Kroenke's gonna ship out the bankroll. We'll see.
I said, that's I've heard rumors. I've also heard rumors that we've had plenty of money in the bank and it always stays there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if this money does exist, this would be the perfect time because everybody's trying to buy cheap, and this would be the perfect time to go out there and spend the cash to kind of.
Honestly, if it was any normal year, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have been worth 70 or 80.
Yeah, true. Honestly, I mean, obviously, I think
Especially because he's an actual
English international,
English,
young. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was any other time of the year without COVID. I wouldn't be surprised if it would be somewhere between 60 and 80.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know because of COVID, I think a lot of values have fallen about 25 to 30% of what they were
Which is
the summer
good because
prior.
some of these players were overinflated.
Oh yeah. I mean, you had a lot of players talking about almost 150 mil and things. I'm like, dude, come on, are you serious? But obviously, they take a lot into consideration to why they make those variables or why they make those figures or whatever. But I think the transfer market was getting too crazy, and not because, and don't trust me, I didn't want this COVID thing to happen, but I think for soccer in general, it's a good thing that it did happen to kind of stop that inflation cost because those things were going up too high too quickly. But for me, I think if I'm thinking as an Arsenal fan, and I don't want to make this into an Arsenal show, but if I'm thinking about the rumors that I've heard about from Arsenal. The one that I just heard lately, recently about Tecatito, Jesus Corona, possibly coming to Arsenal was kind of intriguing to me. not because obviously the Mexican connection and things of that nature. It would be great to see a Mexican play for Arsenal. Especially one that can actually do something for Arsenal.
Hey, Bella was doing pretty.
Yeah, I mean, but he always had the work permits issues.
Every time he was on the field, he scored.
Yeah, but those work permit issues, man. You know how English is, with the visas and things like that. But anyways, it would be interesting because I mean, I think obviously the wings, it's funny because we have wing players. We have Saka, we have Pepe, William, depending if he stays or
not. He's gone.
Hopefully,
he's gone.
Obviously we know Aubameyang can play the wing if we need to. And to bring in another wing player would be, I don't know. So it just kind of intrigued me, but just because of the name and who he is and where he's come from. But yeah, I think we need to really focus on that left-footed center back or that number 10. I don't know what's going to happen with Odegaard. Obviously, with Ancelotti going back to Madrid, I think he really wants to have Odegaard in Madrid because of his youth and obviously his experience now playing European soccer. So I don't think it's going to be really tough for Arsenal to get Odegaard back. But yeah, I think we need to focus on that number 10. But I think we need to make sure we get a number 10 who can play the number 10 role and do what number 10s do, and not just somebody because it's name, or because of prior.
You got James Madison's been in there too.
James Madison is another one that's intriguing to me because obviously Leicester City is playing European football. He's been a great asset for Leicester City. So I have no idea why Leicester City would give him up. I have no idea why Jamie Madison would want to come to Arsenal when he's playing European football in Leicester City. But
I'm like, what happened to Conte? What happened to Mars?
Yeah, but Mars went to Man City. Conte went to Chelsea. I mean, and they're playing.
They still sold.
Yeah, but I mean, well, no. If Arsenal comes and buys, Madison and they give a nice transfer fee,
that's another thing. That's like another 50 or 60 mil right there.
Then obviously Leicester City are going to sell because Leicester City one thing about Leicester City is they know how to find players. They find players,
and they're going to need more players.
Yeah, they're going to need a lot more players. But the thing is, but as far as the player himself, why would I want to go from playing in a team that's vying for trophies to going to a team who that has no European competition? It's obviously in a rebuild year. Obviously those are things that a player has to think about. Obviously Arsenal as a brand is intriguing.
Be that core that brought the team back.
Yeah. You're right. I'm hoping that we get a couple players like that.
If they do bring them back.
Yeah.
I'm like, then you go back to the Arsenal as a bigger team.
Obviously. So, We'll see what happens. Obviously, with Arsenal, I know you and me we'll keep tabs on that. Obviously, we might have to have like an Arsenal summer transfer show. We'll change all the graphics.
A gossip show, because that's all it is.
Yeah, a gossip show. We'll turn the whole layout here red and all this stuff and make it into like a Arsenal gossip hour or something like that. But yeah, guys, we're coming to the end of the show. Obviously, the English version is a little bit abbreviated version from the regular Spanish show, but obviously we try to give out the information as much as we can and try to give it to you as direct as possible. Guys, please, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, and if you got friends out there, like we always say, we always trying to expand the community and our soccer community and reach out to all you guys as much as possible. If there's any league, team, any competitions you want to talk about that we just don't focus on as much and you want us to focus up on a little bit, leave us a comment and let us know. We'll make sure to include that on the show, and we'll give you a shout out and all those things as well. And please, when you get on the chat, be active. That way we can see y'all, and communicate with y'all as well. We're active on the chat when anybody's on there. Aurelio, anything you want to say before we go?
Nothing. Like I said, just thanks for being here with us. It's good to be back. It's been a week and a half without being in here, but it's good to be back. Try to get back in the rhythm. I know there's a lot of soccer being played out there, but we'll do our best to be here.
Yeah, for sure, guys. And before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my mom, man. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños.
Yeah, she said she's turning 25 again, but whatever. I guess every girl turns 25 every year. But shout out to her. I love you. Enjoy your day. But guys, we'll see you next week, hopefully, or maybe sooner. But yeah, thank you.
All right, man. Bye.